This year's Money in the Bank pay-per-view is now done and dusted. While the pay-per-view featured some incredibly good stuff, WWE seemed to end the night by disappointingly foreshadowing the rest of the year. Another year of a wrestler who's been absent for the majority of WWE, despite being champion, yet Vince McMahon seems to think that this would have been a good move. A move in which he thinks would no doubt get WWE out of the ratings slump and help retain the viewers they seemingly have left. No, in actual fact, this move has further driven away some of the most loyal WWE fans who seem to be sick and tired of Vince's ideology of what they want. There were, however, some good moments of the night, and that's what we'll start with, as the WWE absolutely nailed the beginning of the night by having the Women's Money in the Bank ladder match first. We also don't want to take too much away from the tag team match on the kickoff show, as while the match was solid enough, it was predictable being a non-title match. The ladder match was fast-paced and included some painful looking spots, certainly some we wouldn't want to be on the receiving end of. The finish of the match saw interference from Sonya Deville, who tried to give Mandy Rose a literal boost up the ladder to try and win, but despite her efforts, she was stopped in her tracks by Bayley, who managed to grab the briefcase instead. It was a feel-good moment that had the crowd going into a frenzy at the start of the pay-per-view, which is always a good sign. We had a solid cruiserweight match that hit all the right buttons, even if many weren't looking forward to it. We also had two women's championship matches that ended with Lynch retaining the Raw Women's title, but losing the SmackDown Women's title to Charlotte Flair. But those fuming at the fact that the Queen is now back at the top of the women's division again, however, would have taken delight in seeing her knocked off the throne, as Bayley cashed in her contract the same night and won the championship. While it was a memorable moment, it's something that's becoming a worrying trope, as Bayley would now be the fourth person to cash in on the same night and win, and we've now had 2 years in a row of women cashing in the same night. Hopefully next year we won't get the same. A solid WWE Championship match was later seen on in the night, but sadly the crowd was noticeably tired at this point, perhaps drained from the match of the night, which was the Universal Championship match. Both the Phenomenal One and the Architect gave it their absolute all in this match and didn't let us down in terms of quality and work rate in the ring. No screwy finish, no dick kicks, no kickouts out of 10 phenomenal forearms, just superb and fluid wrestling. Many were worried about the hype surrounding the match, as this would be the two's first meet in the WWE, but thankfully it didn't disappoint. If you haven't watched the match, we suggest you go watch it. After this video, of course. It was close, but the men's Money in the Bank ladder match also proved to be one of the best matches, and that was only up until the last point. Unfortunately, the phrase "anything can happen in the WWE" is something that can bring out the fans' excitement and frustration at the same time, as nothing would be more underwhelming than having a match with all the participants giving it their all, only for it to all be pointless when someone runs in to steal a victory. Now we should have foreseen something, as there were vignettes of Sami Zayn being tied up backstage, presumably at the hands of Braun Strowman, which left a vacant spot in the match, but it actually wasn't him, it was the work of somebody else. During the main event, a sleepy audience was suddenly woken up by the loud crashes of many spots, mostly involving the breaking of bones on ladders. Wrestlers were put through an announcer table and multiple ladders. Mustafa Ali would hit a stunning Spanish fly off a ladder, and on one occasion Finn Balor would bounce off into the stratosphere. Ricochet was also planted through one on the outside. It was pure carnage. One man was left standing though, and that was Mustafa Ali. As Mustafa Ali climbed the ladder and almost grabbed the briefcase, suddenly Yep, it was the return nobody really wanted to see, the return of the beast incarnate Brock Lesnar, who replaced the 8th participant Sami Zayn. Lesnar ran down to the ring and pushed Ali off the ladder, and reached up to grab the briefcase, making him this year's Mr. Money in the Bank. This means that instead of having no champion present for the rest of the year, we're gonna have the only person who can cash in a Money in the Bank briefcase be present at dates he's only confirmed to be at, leaving us with no suspense throughout the year, as we won't get a cash in on Monday Night Raw with Lesnar as he barely shows up to pay-per-views. It seems though the decision to have Lesnar win the Money in the Bank ladder match was a last-minute decision. PW Insider reports that there was talk this afternoon that Brock Lesnar might have been at the pay-per-view. He was hidden away backstage and no one was able to confirm he was at the event. Only quote-unquote a very small group of people knew that Brock Lesnar was actually in Hartford before he walked out through the gorilla position. In fact, the participants involved in the ladder match were told a different ending to the match. Sean Ross Sapp of Fightful.com reported that people backstage were told that Mustafa Ali would be winning the match. Even Ali was under this impression, but right before the match, they were then told the change of plan. Sean mentioned, "Most people backstage were told that Mustafa Ali was winning until right before the match, and I mean him too, like right before the match." This would mark the second occasion that Mustafa Ali would be screwed in some way. Granted, the first was because of an injury by Randy Orton that forced him to miss the Elimination Chamber match, where he would have had a Kofi Kingston-like booking, probably not so far as becoming champion, and now this. Just imagine being told after not winning a title that you'll be the next Money in the Bank winner, only for them to change plans last minute to give it to someone else. And yeah, we'll say it, a less deserving someone else. In fact, Vince reportedly hadn't even made up his mind until late in the afternoon, something which has happened more recently, possibly due to leaks and rumours. Whilst we might be looking too much into it, the booking screams of late 90s WCW, where the New World Order were always seen at the top, and decisions were all made at the last minute, leading to its decline in viewership. It's arguable that Brock didn't even need the gimmick of being Mr. Money in the Bank, as he's Brock Lesnar, and he always seems to find himself in the title picture. In fact, it's rare that we haven't seen him in the title picture ever since he returned. We're not sure why Vince still seems to think that Lesnar is a big draw, and has paid him big money for very few appearances. He also seems very afraid that he might lose him. But booking Brock to win was probably Vince's worst idea. It annihilated the ending of the match, and more than likely turned off hundreds of viewers who are sick of seeing Brock waltz into the title picture whenever he pleases, and it takes away what little WWE gives to its more deserving stars like Drew McIntyre and Andrade, to name a few. It just continues to hurt the product when others are trying to fight and bring it back up. Now we can only see some small positivity out of this, as since it's been reported that Brock has retired from UFC, perhaps he might show up more on weekly episodes of Raw. This however seems unlikely though, as he's gotten used to the idea of demanding top dollar from WWE's head honcho Vince McMahon. It's rumoured that Brock will be wrestling at the Super Showdown event in Saudi Arabia, and perhaps then we'll see a cash-in, but we wouldn't want to hold our breath. Also in the lackluster category was the Elias and Roman Reigns match, as he couldn't even call that a match. It pretty much lasted 7 seconds as Elias tried to incapacitate Reigns backstage with a guitar. However, Reigns managed to come back out and pin him in the ring. The whole feud and match was absolutely pointless. Confusingly, the US title match between Samoa Joe vs Rey Mysterio was even shorter than previous 2 matches, with another upset win. What's funny is that Joe's shoulders weren't even close to being on the mat, as the ref made the 3 count. There were plenty more moments when the referees were on autopilot, which we'll look at in another video. However, we will cut this match some slack, as it was cut short for a good enough reason. As PW Insider notes that as soon as the referee saw the blood on Samoa Joe's face, the decision was made to end the match. This is why Rey Mysterio's roll-up seems so rushed, awkward and controversial. It's such a shame since this win marks Mysterio going into the history books as a Grand Slam champion. But what did you guys think of the Money in the Bank pay-per-view? What do you guys think of Brock Lesnar becoming Mr. Money in the Bank? Are you all for it, or do you hate it? Let us know in the comments down below, subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll see you next time with some more wrestling content.